ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So if you want to hear something interesting, my 15-year-old who's just finishing up her freshman year of high school has decided that boarding school would be a great idea.
Oh,
for
has
next
she
year.
now?
Wow. Yeah. What does your pocketbook think of that?
My pocketbook thinks that free public high school sounds like a much better plan.
Wow. How far away is this boarding school?
The one she's interested in is in Minnesota. It's probably like about a 4-hour drive away from here.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And it has 3 ice rinks.
Oh.
So the benefit to her and me would be that she would live on site at the, at the ice rink, basically. And she could skate as well as study. So
Yeah.
Is this a viable option or is this a no-go?
it's really not. I mean, the cost is staggering. So, I mean, she seems to think that there are scholarships available. And if that's the case, maybe. But I really doubt that a scholarship is going to come close to touching the amount.
And I mean, money aside, are you ready for her to be living away from home?
No.
Is she ready to be living away from home?
I said the same thing to her. I'm like, you want to go live in a dorm and live far away from us? She's like, but the vacations are really long.
Seems like it's time to go rent a whole bunch of movies about horrible boarding school experiences.
There you go. I'll try that. So,
and is there a promise of getting into an elite college or university if you go to this boarding school? Is it like a feeder school? I mean, sometimes that's what people do.
I don't know. I would have to look at their stats and figure that out. I mean, I can see a few advantages. Like I said, the fact that I would not have to drive her to the skating rink ever again. That would be one. And, having it kind of integrated with her schooling would be very cool. And I think, it might push her into more advanced classes. And I don't know. The other day she was moping around and not studying for her finals like she was supposed to be. And I said, if you're at boarding school, who's going to make you study? I'm not going to be there. She's like, yeah, but all the other kids, all the other girls will be studying.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is one of the advantages in her mind of going to boarding school is not having mom.
Right. No mom there to be get busy.
And that would last 3 weeks, and then she would miss you, but it would be too late.
Yeah, she'd want to come home.
Too late. I already paid because one of the extra fees, they say, okay, here's how much the tuition is, and then they list all the other extras that you still also have to pay for, like books and uniforms. And one was a fee for being able to pay your tuition every month instead of all up front. So you could pay them an extra $350 for the privilege of not having that much cash on hand at the beginning of the school year. So,
wow.
Anyway.
Tell her that you'll create your own boarding school. You'll invite some strangers to stay at the house for money, and then she can give you some money every month, and you'll go to the school you already pay for with your taxes.
Right. Exactly. So,
that explains.
Anyway,
or you can just leave her at the ice rink, She give her a sleeping bag and a pillow.
Sleeping bag. Go curl up next to the Zamboni.
My 16-year-old won't even have a sleepover at somebody else's house for one night. Never mind boarding school.
Has she been to sleepaway camp?
My daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Not mine.
Mine has. Yeah, mine has.
And did she love it, or did she say, thank God I'm home and have my privacy?
She loved it.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, good in general, but unfortunate in this case.
Yes. Anyway, that's that story. So.
How long till she goes to college?
She has 3 more years.
Tell her that if she's she needs to start saving her money, and then maybe when she's a senior, she can go to the fancy boarding school.
Yeah.
For 1 year.
For 1 year. Mm-hmm. Pre-college.
On her own dime. Even then, she probably couldn't make the money.
No, I don't think so.
Well, while Catherine can still afford to be here with us, we will say hello and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Terri Morrow, and with me today are Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
And Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about our pet peeves with kids' activities on our Friday speed round, shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup, hear an interview with occupational therapist Meghan Corridan, and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, do you know that there is a silent tragedy affecting today's children?
No.
Catherine, tell us more about it.
Yes, according to one Victoria Prude, who wrote a blog post with that title, The Silent Tragedy Affecting Today's Children, this post has gotten some pickup, so we came across it, and her basic argument is that kids are being deprived, I tell you, of emotionally available parents, of basic limits and guidance, sufficient sleep, nutrition, and so on. And it's just turning them into zombies who can't think for themselves and must be pacified by electronics 24/7.
Whoa.
And basically this whole thing is as alarmist as a low battery smoke detector and just about as annoying, at least to me. So I wanted to know if it also bugged you guys and what specifically annoyed you about it.
Oh, man. It just, well, first off, it made me laugh because I think the name of her website is Your OT. She's an occupational therapist, which, don't get me started on occupational therapists telling me how to parent. I love them. I take their advice on the things that they're trained for and value it very highly, but don't tell me how to parent my kid. But yourot.com, especially when you're writing stuff like this, I immediately thought it was yourot.com and assumed it was a parody site. So if you're going to be taking people to task, watch out what your URL is. But it's just, I mean, I don't want to pick on this one person because it's not like she's not writing what everybody else has written. So, indeed, the epidemic is not silent at all.
Right?
It's a loud epidemic and possibly a made-up epidemic, but certainly, every day you go on the computer, you fire up Facebook, and there's something telling you all the reasons parents stink.
Uh-huh.
And I just feel like turning off the computer and going to bed, but I don't have that privilege.
Because you have kids that need you to take care of them.
That's right. I need to be emotionally available on the internet. But
Jeez, I think parents are just the opposite these days.
Yeah? What do you think about this, Nicole?
Well, I think about when I grew up back in the day.
Yeah. Yes.
My parents were around, but they certainly didn't dote on me the way we dote on our own children. And we didn't have a lot of guidelines. We were sent out to play and had to be home by 9.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What we did in between was up to us. Just hope we didn't come home in a police car. We stayed up and read balanced nutrition. Well, think about the kind of food that was on the dinner table back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying this. I think every generation has their struggle.
Yes.
And I think she's just pointing out some of the things that, are maybe a little concerning to her with this generation.
Yes.
But really, when you look back at the 70s, they weren't that great either.
It's like every generation of parents is bad in their own way. And
They
I think
really are.
every individual parent is bad in their own individual way.
Yeah.
Some are too distant. Some are not distant enough. And their kids are going, Mom, stay home. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends.
Yes.
I want to go to boarding school.
Right? And and we were pretty much charged with looking after ourselves. Our parents I think they were pretty indulgent and would go off and to their parties and get-togethers and cocktail hour.
That's true.
We'd be at home in the evening on our own.
Watching TV. Staring at the screen.
Exactly.
I remember very well being like 5 and being out to dinner with my parents and throwing a tantrum because I wanted to go home and watch Jerry Mahoney at 5 o'clock or something like that, and would not rest until I was taken home to watch my show. So, obsession with things is not new.
And I remember, being annoyed, like, fine, I'll practice piano, but can I do it after such and such TV show is on?
Right.
And being told, TV does not rule your life.
That was back in the days. I was explaining this to my kids the other day. I don't think they believed me that, your favorite show, it was on and it was gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
You could not see it again.
You couldn't tape it. Maybe it would be on again in the summer.
Find it on demand, nothing.
But if you missed it, so you had to really yell at your parents to let you watch it, because otherwise, poof,
you were out of luck.
No streaming. It's not on YouTube.
And I'm looking here. One of the bullet points is that today's children are deprived of opportunities for unstructured times and boredom. Well, let me tell you, we had a lot of unstructured time and boredom when I was growing up. It did not translate into anything creative.
Or juvenile delinquency is what it translates to.
We had a high rate of juvenile issues.
Well, I think one of the things that annoyed me about this piece was, some of the things that she said you should do to, correct this problem. Spend 1 hour a day in green space, have a daily technology-free family dinner, play one board game a day, involve your child in one chore a day. Like, start adding up the time that takes. And P.S., they have to go to bed early because you have to make sure they get lots of sleep. Like, when do you do all this stuff?
Let's not mention homework here.
Yeah, nothing about homework.
And mom or dad having to work.
Exactly. There's no way... that just wouldn't work. And someone did call that out in the comments, and I did not see any response from the author about how exactly anybody with a job is supposed to deal with this.
Supposed to cook your child healthy meals? That takes some time, unless you're apparently maybe you have a cook and a nanny, and your home, somebody's homeschooling your child in your home so that you're able to just drop in and do these things.
I see some legitimacy in her points there, but I think those are extreme examples. I
was looking at it and I was saying, please let this be a parody, but it's not, right? She's for real. It sounded like, let's go find every bit of snooty advice on the internet for parents and then put it here like, you're ruining everything and this is what you must do right now to unruin it. And it's like, that was every part of your premise.
That was a big issue that I had with it. Just this alarming tone. Like, oh my God, this is a tragedy that's going to kill us all. Like, no, I don't think so.
Can I just say something? I'm just looking at her photo right here. Does she have kids of her own? That was a little snarky, but...
That's a little snarky. But I don't wish to snark against this person individually, because this is just a distillation of you can't throw a rock on the internet without hitting somebody saying exactly these things.
But you can't. So you can't.
It's like, it's not exactly a revelation, lady, but it's also not. It's such a huge overgeneralization as to be completely useless.
Well, and it's, here she's, I'm just looking at her bio. Because, you look at the source, right? When these things are written. And she has extensive experience working with parents, children, and teachers. But nowhere in here does it say that she has her own.
Yeah, you do sort of want the proof to be in the pudding, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I have done these things, and here are my exceptional children.
These might be her objective viewpoints, and she may not know the real story behind some of these behaviors.
It's so easy to make those judgments from the outside.
It is.
It really, really is.
Really
I mean,
is.
all of us had those same opinions before we had kids. Well, when I have kids, I won't do that.
You know,
And
your
that's-
child's
well, this is
screaming
what
in the
everybody's
grocery
doing
store,
is wrong.
and yeah, you're going to give them that cookie so that they're quiet.
and every kid is different. So you can have your completely wonderful worked out philosophy, and it can even work with one kid, and then the next kid is just completely useless, and you have to come up with something else, and then people look at you and say, why are you doing that?
So, yes. I'm gonna say, look at the source. Let's just think about where it's coming from.
And it's, I don't know about you guys, but I got plenty of self-doubt and recrimination all by myself. I think I've said this before on this show. I really don't need other people pointing out my problems and making suggestions. This is why I don't sleep at night. They parade through, and they're not even as nice as this lady. So, I don't know. It's...
Well, and I also think that it overgeneralizes. I mean, that's something that we have a problem with so much parenting advice out there that, there's one right way to do things, and I know what it is, and I'm going to tell you. And if you don't do it this way, then you're damaging your children for life. And it just doesn't work that way because kids are different.
They really are. And parents also are different. We don't all have the same personality. We can't all do the same things in the same way. So, and if we could, it still wouldn't be useful because the kids are different. So, people have different strengths and weaknesses. And I don't know why that's so hard to grasp.
Right.
People who have success with their kids want to tell everybody else how to do it, but it's not the same. You can't generalize this stuff, I don't think. And, these kids can't do anything but stare slack-jawed in front of computers. Well, some of those kids are going to make a ton of money as computer programmers and be extremely successful in life. Some of them are not. So you can't, for some kids, push them in front of the electronics more. That's their future. You drag somebody who's a genius in computers out into a green space for an hour and they're going to be miserable and it's not going to help them. How do you know this? You don't. There's no way. And certainly an outsider writing a blog post is not going to know that. And I mean, I get so frustrated with all the complaints about electronics because we live in a different world. There was a time when everybody rode horses and now they drive cars. You're going to say don't drive cars because we used to do things different when, the world moves forward. If you have a kid who's not conversant in all these electronics and everybody else is, they're going to be at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
It frustrates me.
Yes.
But,
and the way that, at least one of my kids, the way that they learn how to do new things is by watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
That is how they absorb information best. And if that's the way it works, then,
Yeah, that's the way things are going. You want them to have that technological literacy. Green spaces, for some kids, that's great. Some kids have hay fever. So they're going to be sneezing for an hour. Thanks, lady. It's so easy. It's just so easy and so fun to generalize. I mean, I try, we all are parenting writers. And, there's a temptation to just write, hey, here's how you do this thing. Here are the 5 things to do. Ta-da! Right. That's how we make our living. But I always try to make it, this may work.
Right. Here's an idea that you could try.
If not, yes, this worked for me. Might not work for you. But I mean, as a parent, I always liked to just research and find as many different suggestions as possible and then pick the ones that seem to work for me and ditch the rest. That is not something that an absolutist like this person apparently is going to appreciate.
Right. And I also think, it's sort of a clickbait thing, right? I mean,
sure.
Before we had the internet, we certainly had parenting magazines and books and
we did.
And radio hosts or whatever who were trying to tell everybody how to do everything. But now we have a platform where anybody can get out there and
absolutely
explain why they're the best person to solve this problem.
Yeah, it's so immediate also. And
yes.
It hits you. I mean, that's I remember even way back before there was all this social media stuff when there were just email lists. And, I was on an email list for parents, and how much more it hurt to hear things when you're sitting at home in your pajamas in front of your computer. You're maybe at your most vulnerable, and then you get this stuff. And now everything is that way. It's not just, here are these 20 people I've selected to correspond with, and one of them hurt my feelings. It's, you go on Twitter and parents stink, parents stink, parents stink. It's like fists coming out of your computer onto your nose. And when you're, just sitting around home, you at least had to go out and buy the magazines. You had to be able to say, hey, you know what? I feel like I could be a better parent. Let me go buy this book. Let me go buy this magazine. Now it's on your Facebook feed. And your friend has posted this thing, ha ha ha, this is so true.
Yeah, right. And it's not just on there once, it's on there 4 or 5 times.
And people are piling on, and then people disagree, and people pile on them, and you just... That's the electronics I want to hide from. It's like, I'm going to go outside now to get away from that. But of course, it's on your phone. So it's everywhere.
It is.
And I'm so tired of it. And I'm just so tired generally. Can't we all just get along? But it also, when I see things like this, and this is certainly not the first thing from a therapist that I have seen online or in person. And it just gives you the feeling that when you bring your kid for help to this person, and you make yourself vulnerable by saying, my child needs help, thank you so much for helping, they are judging you. They are judging the way your kid behaves, and they are judging you based on that. They are talking behind your back. Oh, that kid, his mother doesn't do this, that, and this other thing with him. I feel like I should straighten them out. And that is so not helpful. Yeah. It's like, I want to feel bonded to the professionals that I take my kid to. I want to feel like I've always felt like I had good relationships with the teachers. I had good relationships with the therapist. I really worked hard on that. And part of me always knew, because, I worked in the library a long time, heard how they talked about other parents.
Right.
Thought to myself, when I leave, they're saying, oh, you can't believe what her kid did today. What the heck is she doing?
Right.
But that's just, it's poisonous to know that's going on, because then you feel like you can't trust anybody. And you have to trust people.
Yeah.
You have to trust the doctor is going to do the right thing, even though you feel his nurses are giving you the stink eye. You have to trust people. And then when you see something like this written by a therapist, and, well, this is what they're saying. This is what they're thinking. Blah.
Maybe we should move on to our speed round so we can vent our spleens a little further.
I have to go take a nap now. I'm exhausted.
Well,
judge.
Clearly we are bothered by that article. and
it's like we
advice.
Reject it. We think it's ridiculous, but it's under our skin now.
It really is.
I think it did its job. It got her the attention she wanted.
It did. I hope she feels better.
Yeah, it's a sensitive
You'll have kids
topic.
one day, Missy.
Well, that's the thing, right? Consider the source. Now, what about, enough about what's bothering us about that article. What about what's bothering you lately about your kids' activities? Because let's assume we are good parents and our kids are in activities.
Well, but then you have all the people who say that your kids are overscheduled and you should take them out of their
that's
activities.
right.
Yes.
I love those.
Okay. Well, aside from that, assuming our kids aren't overscheduled, that there's a nice balance between life and activity, and then they also have time for a nutritious meal with all the family sitting down.
We give a good hour a day to all the 35 or 40 things we need to be doing.
That's right.
What are your kids up to lately, and what is bothering you about it? Catherine, I know that there's a backstory here.
It was inspired by you.
Yes, this was inspired by me. So, this very weekend, my son has a lacrosse tournament. And as of, less than 48 hours before the games are supposed to start, we had not gotten any information about when his games were. This is a 3-day tournament. And there's going to be 3 games. Are they going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Are they going to be 2 on Friday and 1 on Sunday? Are they going to be all on Saturday?
Oh, man.
We have no idea. No idea. And this is 2 days prior. Like, how are people supposed to live? I don't get it. And this has been a problem for this whole season. For hockey, it's a long season, but you generally know well in advance when the games are. Things sometimes change, but as a rule, once it's on the calendar, it's going to happen, and you know what time and that sort of thing. This, every weekend, they've had games pretty much every weekend, but they never tell us until the last minute what time the games are or whether they're on Saturday or Sunday. And it's just infuriating. A couple of weeks ago, my son's team had to forfeit their games because not enough kids were able to show up. Because people aren't willing to not make other plans when they have no idea when the games are going to be.
On what level is the bad planning occurring? Is it coaches not getting together to schedule things? Is it some overriding organization that's not doing their job, or what?
It seems to be the parent groups that are putting on each weekend. It's a tournament, so it's this team's turn to have a tournament. And maybe they don't know who's coming, so they can't plan the game. I don't know. I don't understand.
Well, parents should understand the stupidity of leaving it this late.
Yeah.
I don't. But see, you have all this unstructured time, so it's no problem, right?
Exactly. I have nothing else to do. So I am sitting on my hands.
Just enjoy some of that good therapeutic boredom.
I'm sitting on my hands from writing a sternly worded email to the organizer of the current thing.
Just write a nasty blog post and...
That's right. I mean, I have been checking this website hourly for days. Surely it's going to be there by now. Nope, not there.
That is ridiculous.
So anyway,
that would drive me crazy.
That's my rant. Do you have one? Do you have a rant of your own, Terry?
I like, planning is good. I don't really have, we don't have that much activities going on right at the moment because my kids are adults now. I wish they had activities. I wish they had more activities. My son does do Special Olympics, and he has a Challenger League baseball game that he does when he has time. But I do remember lots of things, when my daughter was younger and she was in the band, and there was always activities. We generally knew about them enough ahead of time, but, uniform pieces was a big thing. Take the care and feeding of the uniform, and the fact that was my job. It's always frustrating, and they changed uniforms halfway through to something that was much easier. But in the early days, it was this thing that she could really not put on by herself, because things threaded through other things, and then buttons, and then other things went on and snapped, and there was this, and it was like an hour before the football game. We had to start assembling her. And I also had to put her hair up, which I know are a master at, Catherine, but I was not.
I've been fired.
So there would be 500 bobby pins deployed to try to put the hair up, and everything had to be, and it's, it was mostly me pushing her to be in band, so I'm happy to help. But it's like, I felt like I should have a job title as, the dresser.
Yes.
Right.
And you had to find just the right shoes, and you had to go 3 to 4 different stores to find just the right shoes. And if it was the wrong shoes, your kid was going to get in trouble, but it was my fault because I am the shoe finder. Mm-hmm. So all those things that parents have to take responsibility for kids to be in events, I will just complain about them as a blanket thing.
I agree.
How about you, Nicole? What's your gripe?
Well, as I'm listening to this, I'm just getting these texts from my daughter coming in. And so my gripe of the moment is because that's how things are.
Yeah.
When you have a teenage daughter.
Right.
It's what's happening at that very second.
You should send her to boarding school. You wouldn't have this problem.
There you go.
No, I probably would. She'd probably text me about something going
Text
on
you
down
from
there. Well, she applied to... Okay, so there's this group at her high school, and it's an elite group of leaders, student leaders, who show the freshmen around in the beginning of the school year.
My daughter's school has that too.
Yeah.
She tried out, did not get it.
Well, same. So my daughter sent in her application and did everything that she was supposed to do, and all her friends did the same thing. Well, like, most of her group got in, except for her.
Aww.
And there was no reason as to why she didn't get in. There was no explanation. It was just a letter of rejection.
Ouch. Like me and debutantes in high school. Did you have debutantes in your high school?
No.
We had debutantes, and it was the same sort of thing, and all my friends got in, but not me.
Yeah. So
I've internalized the anger and rejection.
So she's sitting there. All her friends went to the Link Crew meeting at lunch, so she was on her own for lunch.
Oh,
and then,
man.
I know, right? Like, how elitist is this group? Or, I don't know. Anyway, it just drives me crazy. So she's texting me, and Mom, so-and-so got in, and so-and-so got in, and can you believe this?
Oh,
and
man.
why didn't I get in? And how come I didn't get in? And, I do so much around the school, and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, what do you do, right? Like, that's what really bugs me, is that there was no explanation, and there's no rhyme or reason.
Well, my mom would have gone down and just kicked their ass, but that was her. Sometimes it worked.
My mom would have too, or sometimes it works. Sometimes
it didn't work with debutantes, but it worked on some other stuff.
Most of the time, it didn't work because they were ticked off at my mom then too.
That's true.
Well, yeah, so it just really ticks me off that these random decisions are made that
that is awful.
Yeah, so that's kind of my gripe right now. And so she's devastated because, of course, she is not a part of this group. So
it's hard because, it's good to have those groups, and that's a fine thing to do. But people who work with young people need to understand, they must understand what this does to the kids who don't get it, especially the kids who are part of a clique and everybody else does and they don't. It's really hard sometimes not to feel like they're just kind of doing it on purpose to play with people. Mm-hmm.
Well, and you should have seen the letter she got. It was like, you didn't get in.
You were not special enough.
You're not special. Like, no.
Thank you for applying. We wish we could take more people. That kind of nothing like that.
There was like a few there was a little bit of that, but it would have been nice to know why. Because you did not meet this criteria. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Right?
There is no why.
There's no why. I know, but
the why is we can only have so many kids, and.
Yes.
Maybe the other one has been in somebody's class, or they know them, or they know their parents, or their older brother, or something.
We thought she would be a shoo-in because the lady who runs the program, she was in her class last year and really liked her. So I don't know, was it a first come, first serve with the applications? I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say.
That should not be.
But
that's
anyway.
awful.
Yeah, so that's what's bugging me right now about my kids' activities. My daughter didn't get in.
that would bug me a lot. That's the sort of thing that would have my mom on the couch with the washcloth over her eyes in agony over my rejection.
Yeah, trust me, I'm feeling it. Like, I'm sad. Do you want to come home? cater to our kids.
Yeah, she'll bounce back from it faster than you will, probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
You're
she
always going to hold
does.
that grudge.
Yeah.
That's right.
She always does. She'll come
Whereas
home after
I've
school.
completely forgotten the thing I didn't get into in high school.
What was that again? Wait, I can't remember.
They had a dance and they got to wear nice dresses and everybody paid lots of attention to them. But I'm completely over it. It's silly. It's silly.
Yeah, this isn't that fancy. They wear yellow t-shirts.
Yeah.
But still, you know, they get to hang out together all afternoon and miss class. And do fun activities in the gym and bond. And, of course, that involves all of the boys that these girls are interested in, too. So
that doesn't sound offhand like the kind of thing that should have a number limit on it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
But you can't have, like, one for every freshman.
Right. Yeah, I think there's, like, well, every at the beginning of the school year, the first couple days it's the day before school starts, where they, the freshmen attend, and then they're separated into groups, and then there's 2 or 3 link crew leaders per group, and then they are toured around the school. And I mean, the actual job itself doesn't sound very exciting.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that you get to hang out with your friends and
right,
be part
and that
of
some people are chosen and some people are not.
Yeah. So anyway,
oh man,
that's my gripe.
Well,
that's what's
bumming us out.
bothering me. So. Yeah, remember, you can hear a new speed round with a new gripe, maybe, every Monday through Thursday.
Some of them are fun and happy.
Yeah.
And they're all short.
Yeah.
Well, now we are going to bring you, this should be happier, right?
Yeah.
We're going to bring you some of the things that we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you. Catherine, what do you have this week?
Well, so I love my Fitbit. You may know this about me, but I have been wearing just a real basic Fitbit fitness tracker for like 2 years. And
really?
It broke, like it just stopped working. And, you know, it's pretty inexpensive and it was over 2 years old. So but I got in touch with their help desk and said, you know, here's the problem and here's the things that I've done to try to fix it, you know. And it made me laugh because in the little like chat, you know, online chat person was like,
oh, yeah,
thank you for trying those things before you contact. Like I was praised for following directions, which just kind of made me laugh. But anyway, they finally determined that no, there was nothing more to be done, and it was dead. And since it was, you know, out of warranty because it was over 2 years old, they couldn't replace it, but they did give me a nice discount to buy another one, which obviously is just good business practice, but it definitely worked on me because I went, you know, right away online and I bought a new one, and I bought just the exact same one I had, even though they have many more advanced ones with more features, but I just didn't want them. I just wanted the real simple one. And so I got it for about 50% off. So that was nice. So thank you, Fitbit.
Nice. And on a larger note there, how wonderful are like online chat things for that sort of thing?
Love it.
I love it because you can do it. You can be doing other things while you're chatting, you know, more than you can if you're holding onto a phone. And also, pro tip, when you've had a little chat with somebody, when you're done, like copy and paste it into a document somewhere so that later on, if you get a different opinion from somebody at that place, you could say, I have the transcript right here of when I talked to so-and-so. Let me email it to you. And I think I got like a change in insurance company coverage based on this, because I think somebody told me on the chat something that was not true, but since I had written proof of it, so that's something that's not so easy to do on the phone. Nicole, what do you have this week?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to a conference, or I guess an event that's held every year in Anaheim called Vidcon. I don't know if I spoke about this last year after I went to it. Or my daughter went to it. Anyway, it's a conference with YouTube creators and online personalities. So, like, you know, all the YouTube people that our kids watch or have watched over the years. So they attend this conference
My daughter would like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. My daughter went with her friend a couple of years ago, and it's held over a couple of days in Anaheim, and it's like $400 a ticket. So it's pretty pricey. It's not cheap. But they get to interact with, they get to see things, people on stage and interact with people. But anyway, that's not the real story.
Okay.
The real story is, and this is why I'm shouting out, is because I emailed them back in January, and I asked them, I told them who I was, and that I run a blog called The Inclusive Class, and that when I was at Vidcon the last time, I really noticed how inclusive it was, because, people of all abilities and ages really can use platforms like YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And that, that they're celebrating inclusivity. And anyway, so I kind of told them I really appreciated that, and I wanted to go this year, but didn't have enough money, and would it be possible for me to get 2 press passes?
Aha.
And they wrote back and said yes.
Yay.
So they gave me, isn't that cool? Yes, they gave me 2 press passes, and my daughter and I are going to go.
Is she going to be your photographer?
She's
your
going to be my
journalist?
photographer, and I will report on it.
Cool.
So thank you, Vidcon, for giving us that opportunity. We are looking forward to it.
Cool. We'll be interested in hearing all about that.
Yeah.
That's great. For my shout out this week, speaking of saying thank you to people, I just want to say how wonderful it is to have a friend who will come to your house, clean out your dusty desk, and do it with a smile on her face and not complain and make it seem like you're just having a fun afternoon together on a Memorial Day covered with dust.
Yay.
Cleaning out unbelievable.
Thank you, Terry's friend.
Years and years and years of junk. Shout out to Carolyn Steiner. Thank you. Thank you. Get yourself a friend like that, y'all. It's
no kidding.
She really did most of the cleaning, and I was sort of sitting on the other side of the room going, there's too much stuff. I can't do it. She would be going, keep her toss, keep her toss, keep her toss. She was vacuuming stuff up and dusting it off, putting things in piles for me to look at. And, without her, it would not be. I'm sitting here at my nice, clean desk now with a relatively much smaller degree of clutter than I had even at my old desk in the middle of the living room. So
nice.
Just very happy about that.
Yes.
And very happy that I have a friend who would do that, because I never would have done it otherwise.
Yeah.
And now, Catherine, you have an interview.
So
with an occupational therapist who I'm sure is not judging. Right. And not secretly writing blog posts about what bad parents they are.
That's right. Occupational therapist Meghan Corridan, who talks with us about once a month, and who always has...
We're pretty sure she likes us.
She always has lovely things to say and great ideas, and she is a parent herself, so she does have some experience in knowing that kids don't always respond the way you think they're going to. So we are going to hear from Meghan now. So Meghan is here today because about a week or so ago on our podcast, we had played when we were kids. And so then we thought, well, we should look into what games are good now and especially good for special needs or who have just different skill sets. So we knew that Meghan was the person who would be able to tell us what those games were. And so she's going to tell us about some games today. And also these are going to appear in a blog post over at Friendship Circle that's going to be out on Monday, the 5th. So anyway, Meghan, tell us a little bit about how you chose these games and why they're good for all kinds of kids.
Sure. So one of the most important things for me when I pick out games or toys is that parents can find them in regular stores. I think it's daunting to go through like a therapeutic catalog and look at these things and then just wonder how it's going to help your kid. And I think there's really something important about parents being able to go into a regular toy store in your neighborhood or go to a Target or whatever the big box stores are and be able to pick out activities for their kids that they can use for their whole family, not just for their child who might have some learning differences or special needs. So all of the games I choose are ones that can be adapted either to make it easier or harder, or rules can be easily adapted for whatever the kids' needs might be. And to me, that's really the most important thing, so that kids feel like they're doing what other kids are doing. It's important for conversation skills. It's important for friendship skills, and for kids to be able to connect with one another.
And I think that's great too that you mentioned for the whole family to use together, because you might have a wide age range of kids and of skills and interests in your family. So it's nice to be able to play games together.
Yes. Now, especially with summer coming and parents are looking for ways to keep their kids occupied and not just, throwing them on an iPad or watching TV. I think it's a really good time to possibly introduce some new board games to families, bring them on vacations and stuff like that.
Yeah. So tell us about some of the ones that you are showcasing this time.
Okay. So one of the first things I was really proud of myself for choosing games that require no batteries. They make no noise. And I think that's important because sometimes those games can be very overstimulating for kids of all ages, of all needs. So I worked hard to find games that you don't have to worry about any of those kinds of things. And one of my favorite games is Zingo, and it's very similar to bingo. It's got what they call a zinger, which is the tool where you put all of the pieces into, and the kids can slide it, and two pictures come out, and they have to match those tiles onto their cards. Kids love the idea of just like that physical movement. It's almost like magically these two pictures appear. So this is not only great for working on visual motor and visual perceptual skills, it's great for working on fine motor and grasping skills, bilateral coordination. It can improve language skills just by being able to identify pictures. And
if I've played this before, and the pictures that come out of the little zinger are like little chips almost. They're like tactile. It's not like a paper card.
Right. It's a durable game. It can take a beating from kids, and I think that's an important thing about games too.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty small. Like, it doesn't take up a ton of space in your cupboards.
Yeah, and you can. It's a good thing to if you're going to the doctor's office, or you're going on vacation or going out to eat. So it's an easy thing to pack because everything sort of fits into one small, like, medium-sized Ziploc bag.
Okay, so Zingo. What are some other favorites that you've found?
Another one is it's called Friends and Neighbors, and this is for younger kids, but it can also be for older kids who might have more like language impairments or delays. And this is by a wonderful company called Peaceable Kingdom, and they produce cooperative games. And instead of like there being a winner or a loser, kids really have to work together in order to help people in this game. So
right.
Kids take a token from what they call the helping bag, and they look at all the different pictures on their board. And if the token can help somebody on their board, they get to match it. And I've used this with my social skills group for my younger kids, just to work on empathy, to work on understanding different people, to sort of look at, people's faces, being able to recognize emotions and feelings. Mm-hmm. And begin to develop these skills that are sometimes really hard for younger kids or kids who have special needs to work on. And it's great for language development. It's good for, helping kids recognize these kind of people in their own neighborhoods or families or whatever. So, and it's a simple game. I really like the fact that there's no winner or loser. You must work together. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that's a really important skill to work on with kids, not just winning and losing, but working together in order to accomplish a task.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's room for both, for games that do have winners and losers, because some kids really respond to that, mm-hmm. but also for games that encourage cooperation.
Yeah. And I think that nowadays kids there's such an academic push that kids are really spending more one-on-one time in a classroom and not as much time working together. So this is a good way to introduce those kinds of skills.
Right. Cool. Okay. Tell me about another one that you have.
Right, so I had to include some from our day, and I remember playing Guess Who for hours and hours and hours with friends, with my sisters. I remember taking it when I used to babysit for kids, and it's pretty much still the same kind of game. They've upgraded like the looks of the people on the cards, but it's the point of the game is to be the first person to guess which what the other friend's card might be, and you have to do this by asking yes or no questions. So you'd ask, is your person a girl? Is your person wearing a hat? Does your person have a beard? So it's really working on a lot of executive functioning skills. It's working on language skills,
right? Observation,
and also just like the ability to sort of organize your thoughts and attention to details, like you just said.
Right. Very cool. And I know you picked out a couple that are a little non-traditional for board games that require a little bit of physical activity or gross motor skills. So maybe tell us about one of those.
Okay, so I think that a lot of parents are looking for ways to get their kids up and moving more. And so there's a game called Crazy Legs. And while it might be for younger kids, I think you can really adapt it, or you can take their ideas and sort of expand on it for older kids or kids who might need more. But this is basically kids spin the spinner, they move the number of steps, they put their pawn on there, and then they take a matching card. So it could be performing an exercise, a yoga pose, whatever it is. It's something that gets them up and moving. Great for motor planning and organizational skills. It's great for confidence and self-esteem, especially kids who might struggle more physically as they're able to sort of accomplish more challenging activities. You might even, depending on the audience of the people playing, you might have everybody do it, and everybody has, in order for people to move on, everybody has to perform whatever gross motor activity it might be.
Yeah, and I like the reminder that you can always adapt these games, and you can always come up with the rules that suit your family, or ways to expand the activity or change it a little bit so that it works better for the kids that you're playing with. As long as you establish from the beginning, this is how we're going to do it. I think it's a great way to extend the use of a game or a toy.
Absolutely. And I did that with one, it's called Yeti and My Spaghetti, which is just like, it's a silly, easy game. And it comes with a bowl, and it comes with a bunch of like silly, like plastic spaghetti pieces that you lay over the top of the bowl. And then you put a little Yeti character on top. And the purpose of the game is to not let the Yeti fall into the bowl as you're pulling out spaghetti pieces. And the traditional way is that you just use your fingers and you look and see which piece is safe to take out. But if you want to expand on that, you can. I sometimes have kids use like the animal chopsticks,
right?
And they have to pull the pieces out that way to work on grasp development and fine motor coordination. Or I might have them roll a dice and take as many pieces as they roll. So it works on number recognition. It works on a little bit more of organizational skills and focus and attention, and just it makes the game a little bit more interesting for some of those older kids.
Right. Good. Well, thank you so much, Meghan, for all these great ideas. And like I said, this will be up on the Friendship Circle blog shortly. So check back with us on Monday for a link to that. And we will speak with Meghan again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Meghan. And now for our final segment today, we are going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some of the things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Terri, what do you have for us this week?
Well, we are in a new month. But every month on Friendship Circle, I do a roundup of the news stories we have had on our Facebook page. So that went up today. You can check it out on Friendship Circle. We'll have the link in our show notes. But if you go there right now and take a look at friendshipcircle.org/blog, you will see them. Relive with us the special needs news stories of May, will you?
Sounds good. And Catherine?
I just thought I would mention my personal Instagram account because I have a lot of fun with it. Just pictures of my dog and various like plants that I see in the neighborhood. And recently I had some pictures of my son making pasta just as if he were, as he's saying sorry, I'm master of none. So, yeah, so my personal Instagram, which is at @CHaleco.
Very cool. I saw that pasta you were making. That's impressive. And I'm just going to talk about one of the more popular blog posts on my site because I am still editing my book and don't have much time to write anything else, so this is an old favorite. It's 5 things parents need to know about inclusive education. So if you are thinking about inclusive education for your child in the fall, or that is what your child is going to do, then check out this post. Give you a heads up as to what it's all about.
Excellent. And that's going to be it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you will join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from iTunes. Please subscribe so that you get all our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Momitude, Nicole is at Nicole Eridix, and Catherine is at CHaleco. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Moran for providing our in and out music, and I wish everybody a great week.